Yes, lads. How's it going? How are you getting on? Game week 18 tomorrow. Half one is the deadline. We've got a lovely guest today now, Sean. I just see he's after joining there, so I'm going to give him a quick invite and we'll get the ball rolling on this one. So there, right there. How's everyone keeping, lads? If you're kind of panicking before the deadline, how are you, Sean?
Aye, not too bad yourself now.
Not too bad. I said I'd throw on the Irish jersey for an all Irish guest, so I've made the effort for you. How are you? How are you keeping?
Aye, not too bad now. I know there's a lot. I know with the game week at the minute, it's a bit up in the air with COVID and stuff like that. So I know there's been a couple of games called off now this week.
Yeah.
I think we've got 5 games called off.
5 at the moment now, yeah, and hopefully there mightn't be too much more now. But
We'll have to cross our fingers that no more get called off between now and tomorrow. But I think the advice to people kind of going into tomorrow is don't be using any transfers tonight.
definitely not. No, yeah, definitely.
I would be kind of trying to hold your transfers until you get to maybe tomorrow morning or maybe just before the deadline. I think would be my advice to people for that, But
Definitely.
no, looking forward to the live anyway. So
Good stuff. Well, we're live now anyway, Sean, at the moment, so we'll get the ball rolling. If you want to just kind of introduce yourself there, Sean, and give the lads kind of watching a kind of background to yourself and ages you have.
yeah, 2 seconds because I have some notes here, but I keep.
No bother, no. Hello to Nemo there. Or Nemo, sorry. I can see he's chatting away there. Good to see you, boy. If you're still watching him, I really apologise again for not getting the chance to meet you over when I was over for London. But go on, Sean. I'll give you the floor there.
So my name's Sean Jackson. I'm from Derry. So I would post on Twitter mainly. I don't really use Instagram so much, but I post mainly on Twitter using the handle Hubble FPL. So I've been playing FPL since really 2006. But at that stage, I would have been a bit of a ghost ship in the fact that I would have set up my team to enter like a work money league. But then within, you'd be talking about a couple of weeks, my team would have really fell away and I wouldn't have taken it that serious. But I think around about 2012, 2013 was when FPL became serious for me. I joined, like, say, money leagues. You probably do the same yourself. And, like, say, if you had bets with, like, friends and stuff like that, and I wanted to win. So from there, I kind of started joining, say, like, fantasy football sites, like a fantasy football hub and fantasy football scout. And that was, like, the start of my education, I suppose, and they playing the game right. So learning how to say, like, the basics of, like, structuring your team, like making sure you have like a bench midfielder and stuff like that, so that you have like the best kind of combination of players on the pitch would have been really the start of it for me. Playing quite seriously, But in terms of like writing, it started for me during the first lockdown. So a bit like yourself, I'm sure, like we were all kind of kept indoors and you couldn't do the normal stuff like say going to the gym and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So over the years, like I'd always been interested in writing, and at one point, like I wanted to say study journalism, but I didn't really kind of follow that path or that route or anything like that. So it was at that point I started a Twitter account and I wrote a thread and say Man City, and the thread really kind of took off. Like yourself, you write threads, and
Yeah.
all of a sudden, like your notifications just kind of start going mental, and people start following you as a result of that. And it was after that Andrew Ferguson from the Hub. Fantasy Football Hub, he got in contact and says, would you like to write for us? So that was really the start of me kind of becoming, I suppose, like a fantasy football writer on like a Twitter and stuff like that, So
Lovely, Sean. Yeah, come here. How many years you're playing the game? Sorry.
I started in 2006, but as I said, I started taking it more seriously around kind of 2012.
Yeah.
And then from like taking it serious, I suppose I had a couple of good finishes. Like came one year about 4,000, another year about 5,000. I had like just a couple of finishes outside, like 13,000, 16,000, and a couple around 20,000. So not too bad, I suppose, on that front. In terms of this season, I've kind of started pretty well. I'm sitting around 22k at the minute.
Lovely, yeah.
Which wasn't a bad start. Now I've been kind of fairly template, and how my team has been set up, it's been fairly template. Now in the week gone past, I think I had 10 players, although one of them was Livramento. We only scored 0 points,
yeah.
But I think my team scored 69 points minus 4 and pushed me up to 22k. But my big regret last week was not going with Watkins. Like I took a hit last week and I got rid of Ronaldo and Bumo, and I signed Emmanuel Dennis
Yeah.
and Phil Foden. Now the Phil Foden thing worked.
Yeah.
But the Emmanuel Dennis thing, that didn't work at all. Like, you know, obviously Watford had the fixture called off, but no, I had a big regret there because if I had went with Watkins, I'd be sitting just outside 10k at the minute. So obviously, I had the match on the TV here, and like Watkins got the assist there, and I thought grand. And then I seen he scored late in the game, and I was like, for fuck's sake, you know, that cursing at the TV. I was like, oh, for fuck's sake, you know. And then he scored the 12 points, like, you know. But I think my transfer this week, I've got one free transfer. I've got 4.3 million on the bank, so I'm definitely going to sign Watkins.
Yeah,
because Villa's the first match of the game week, so like this would be I suppose a piece of advice for anybody that's watching the live now at the minute. It's that we could get to tomorrow and there could be games called off on Sunday. So I think what you want to be doing is if you're going to buy a player, buy somebody that's playing kind of early on Saturday, because there's so much kind of flux and like a fixture could be called off on a Sunday. And I think what I'll do is I'll probably vice captain Watkins.
Yeah.
Because I'll know if the Villa game's going to be on by the time like I finalise my team. So that's where I'm going there. I'll probably make another transfer, but I haven't really decided yet at the minute. I'm thinking I'll either go double Manchester City midfield or maybe Lacazette, but
I'm tempted by Lacazette at the moment now. Cause I was actually the opposite to you. I brought in Watkins last week, fair enough, and I was going to do I was going to do the hit for Rafinha to Foden, but I didn't do it. So I missed out on Foden's 12-pointer, but at least I got Watkins. So we kind of complemented ourselves there the opposite way. But at the moment now I have Watkins. I'm looking at Lacazette in for Antonio at the moment now. But as you said, going to wait till the last minute before I make them moves, definitely. That's only kind of the thing with Arsenal playing a half-5 at least tomorrow. Surely we'll have an insight before half one if it's going ahead or not.
I think so. I think that's a right way to play it this week, if I'm being totally honest with you. Like, so, you know, like what you're talking about Lacazette, I think he's maybe 8.3 million.
Yeah.
He's had returns the last 2 weeks. And then obviously, like, you're looking at the whole Aubameyang situation.
Yeah.
He's been disciplined by the club. He's got stripped of the captaincy. So you would think along those lines, Lacazette should be a wee bit more nailed than what he normally would be in the centre-forward position. Arsenal have been playing better under Arteta recently. And then really you're looking at the fixtures now. I think you're talking about they play Leeds in this game week. And then they play Norwich just after that. And I was looking at some of the stats now. I think in terms of like, if you're looking at season data and you're looking at kind of shots on target conceded, I think Leeds have maybe conceded 92 and Norwich have conceded 91. So they're like the worst and the second worst in the league in terms of shots on target conceded. Yeah. So they're really the teams to target along with Newcastle. And I think that's the other place I would tell people to go. It's that Man City, like if you're looking at Man City, the way they thrashed Leeds 7-0, the numbers that they're putting up in terms of shots, the numbers that they're putting up in terms of XG, I think they could just wipe the floor with Newcastle if the match is on. And that I suppose that's the only risk at the minute, is that I don't think we're going to have pressure information about Man City because the game's not for a few days.
Yeah.
And I know Bernardo's
right before I was looking, I only got home there from town there. I think Pep said that everyone's fit. Bar Torres, not from a few days ago or not. I didn't see the day, but I think it was this evening. He said.
I saw a picture now. It looked like training. Now I don't know if this was an old picture that they might have used on the socials, but on it, Bernardo's there and the kind of team training. Now he came off at half time, but I think Man City were comfortable against Leeds. So if he had some kind of small problem, I think they might have been saving him kind of for the run ahead. Now they've had a bit of a gap between this game and between the last game and this game coming up. So I would think I could double up, maybe Phil Foden. My advice to anybody: see if you don't have a Man City midfielder, buy Phil Foden. You know, number one. Like I think he's been outstanding this season, and I think for me this season one of the key things, and I think I can identify it early doors, was that Salah's the main big hitter. And outside of Salah, I don't think the premiums offer like a lot of value.
Yeah.
Like really the kind of second most expensive player that I've had in my team has been, say, Heung-min Son. Now obviously Spurs have had games called off and stuff like that. But because of that, I've kind of had a spread of cash. But like looking at my spread of cash, I have players in my team like say Reece James, Alonso, I had Chilwell before that, Jota, Phil Foden. And like now we would look at these guys historically and think, well, they're like rotation risk players. And normally, if I think like a player's maybe not going to play a certain amount of minutes, I wouldn't have him in my team.
Yeah.
But I think a key part this year has been kind of adapting and having these players. And as it's turned out, I don't think they've been as big a rotation risk as what had been previously made out. Like, people would talk about, say, Cancelo and say, oh, he's the kind of boy that's going to be rested. He hasn't been rested at all. And I think in a way it was good for fantasy managers that he got the 5th yellow card and that he missed Leeds, although, all right, we missed the points.
Yeah.
It doesn't make much difference because everybody fucking owns Cancelo anyway.
Yeah.
But it nearly gave us, look, this is when his rest is going to be because he's got the 5th yellow card, and after that point, he's going to play as many games as possible, I would imagine. But no, I think that's been a key point this season, has been adapting the players that, look, they're normally rotation risk players, but I think Phil Foden's been key in that, and he's very much, for me, he's like an eye test player, and there's times I watch Man City, and I think that last match against Leeds, there's some games you watch him and he could score near close to 20 points, and it's trying to get on that player just as he scores the 20 points. Once he scores the 20 points and everybody jumps on, they've probably missed the boat and missed that kind of chunk rising rank, so I think it's important to kind of identify these players early,
Definitely, and it kind of goes in kind of sync with Reece James as well. A couple of weeks ago when he was flying, and then the last kind of 3-4 weeks apart from midweek, he was getting 0-1 pointers,
I bought Reece James. I actually bought Reece James and Phil Foden on my wild card in game week 8. And at that point, they would be kind of rusky players for me to normally have in my team, like I'm saying. But I think at that point, Reece James scored about 50 points in about 3 weeks.
Yeah.
And then after that, he was like binary. He had like 0, 1, 1, 0 and stuff like that, And I think lit buyers to Reece James at that point were like, for God's sake, we've bought this guy and he's now doing nothing. Whereas I had got the points out of him, so I haven't really cared so much now that he's kind of dropped away. But I think for Chelsea, they must chill well, number one. Yeah. But I think they've started playing a wee bit different. Like Ziyech is getting a wee bit of game time. Mount's kind of come under it a bit. And they seem to be, well, in my opinion anyway, they seem to be playing more through the kind of attacking midfielders and less through the wings. But I had Alonso last week and he got the clean sheet, or last game week, but he got the clean sheet even though
he went off.
Chelsea conceded. He went off, so it was kind of a blessing. But no, I think Alonso's one I'm going to be keeping hold of, because at the minute I would have been looking at, say, Alonso and thinking, I don't know, he hasn't really performed, I might move him on or whatever. But now my focus is on really, well, who's not playing this week? And if players, say, have a blank fixture, like this week I'm looking at, say, Emmanuel Dennis, I just brought him in. The chances are I'm just going to take him out again. And I've done the same with Ronaldo. Like I brought Ronaldo in. He scored against Norwich, and I think he got the 9 points. Then the next match was obviously a blank. Yeah. And I know a lot of people were like, I don't want to sell Ronaldo. But for me, at that point, I kind of thought, right, Ronaldo's a lot of money if he's not going to play one game. If he's not going to play 2 games, I think I definitely want to get rid of him. And in my head at that stage, I was thinking, I kind of want to have money in the bank, because if it's a case that we're going to start to see a load of COVID cancellations, I wanted to beef up the rest of my team. So it didn't really, I think the way I see it at the minute, the cheapest player in my squad that I want to have is kind of Livramento, and I would be happy to not really have like a bench fodder player among my front kind of attacking 8, just so that if people miss out, you can kind of adapt a wee bit better and maybe bench somebody. But this week, I'm not really sure. I've got the 3 forwards. I've got Dennis, King, and Antonio, and none of them have a fixture. So I'm thinking I'm going to go to Watkins, and I'm either going to buy Lacazette, or I'm maybe going to play like a weird 4-5-1 and buy a second City midfielder. One of the 2.
While you're on that, sorry, Sean, that was kind of a big question I was getting asked this week in DMs was between Lacazette and Watkins. So who are you leaning towards at the moment? I know you were mentioning Arsenal attacking numbers earlier on, but who are you eyeing up out of the 2 of them?
Well, I think for your people on the live that are asking the question, I think if you're going to buy one, I will buy Watkins. And the reason for that, I think they've been better under Gerrard. Now, like, I'm a Celtic fan, and I hate to say it, like, but he did a good job at Rangers. And he's come down, and I think he's starting to make Villa a wee bit more professional. He's tightened them up. I think he's got them fitter by the looks of it already. And like Watkins is like, Morelos was his big player at Rangers, he's striker at Rangers, and like Watkins is like super fit. He's going to run for him all day. And when we look at, say, Watkins maybe last season, Watkins plays minutes. Like Watkins can play 90 minutes nearly every single week. But I think for this week, if people are saying Watkins or Lacazette, which one am I going to buy? I would definitely be buying Watkins because he's got the first fixture in the game week, and you're going to know, like, you might not necessarily know if he's going to start, but you're going to know that the Villa match is going to be on, and you're going to assume because of training pictures this week that he is going to be on the team.
Yeah.
Like I said, it's obviously going to be a wee bit more of a punt because you're not exactly going to know if Arsenal is going to be on or off, but you would assume by the deadline tomorrow that we'll know that Arsenal is on. But if I had to pick between the two, I would pick Watkins.
Yeah, no, I agree with you on that, definitely. And just the fact that I brought him in early enough. Even like I said, that's the thing with COVID now. You can't even predict. You can't even plan ahead. I don't think it's even worth planning 2 game weeks ahead at the moment now, because the fact that that happened during the week with Watford and Burnley, you know, when the deadline was over, 6 o'clock was that evening, 5:30, the game was called off. I was looking at I was looking at the distance from, was it Burnley to Watford? It was like 4.5 hours or something, and came off 2 hours in advance, you know. But go on, sorry, Sean.
Well, I obviously, like yourself, like you have like WhatsApp Messenger, and the messages were coming up in WhatsApp, and somebody says about King, or they says about Dennis, and I was like, oh, has he got COVID? And the reply was, oh no, the match is off, and I just kind of shook my head. I thought, for God's sake, like, it's like, how do you plan for this? But I kind of felt like I got lucky enough last week, and then when I'm looking at my team for this week, I think I basically I've got 9 players in Brownhill. Now, I don't think Brownhill's going to play, so that's what's leaning me towards getting Watkins. So then I'll have like 10 in Brownhill. Yeah. But then I think I'll more than likely take a hit for somebody. And I think I would nearly at the minute I'm thinking I might just gamble on the Man City, double the Man City midfield, hope that they give Newcastle a pacing. And if I'm being totally honest, I think the league's going to be paused. Yeah. I think we're going to see an announcement maybe next week that they're going to maybe push this winter break up or something like that, and maybe push fixtures on down the line. And it'll be a shame for us because I think it might be the case that there might be no football over Christmas, like, you know, but cases are the way they are, the COVID, and there's no way around it. And I think they should be safe for the players. And I know what you're saying about the fans, and they called the match off at very late notice, but I think ultimately, if teams can't field, they're putting together. I think Everton put together a team the other night that was just like, when you looked at the team sheet, you thought, why did they not cancel the game?
Yeah.
You know, like they could have done what United done and just stuck a fucking padlock on the training ground and says, look, we're not going to field it. We can't train or we can't field. But I suppose they got the draw against Chelsea, so they'll not really care. But no, definitely, it's all a wee bit up in the air, I think.
Definitely, yeah. The only kind of our silver lining is the kind of double game weeks, triple game weeks. We'll see down the line, Sean. All right, but at the moment,
there's a bit of chat, isn't there, about a triple game week for Watford, maybe.
Watford and Spurs or something as well. Spurs have 3 games in hand at the moment, I think, as well. But yeah, that'll be crazy. I think it was the first time ever last year United had one, and so hopefully it'll come again this year too.
I think this could be, well, I think there's a couple of factors here. I think if this triple game week comes to pass, I think it'll be over nearly a period of about 2 weeks.
Yeah.
So it won't be a case that the games are going to be rammed right close together. I think it'll be kind of spread out around about maybe roughly just before the winter break. I think that's when they're talking about it being on. But I also think, and I was chatting on WhatsApp to like Anima and stuff earlier tonight, and I think if it's a case that the league goes under a state of freeze, I don't think that triple game week will happen. That's, you know, because the whole calendar will start to get pushed back. And like I know, like Ben Crellin does a forecast and stuff like that for double game weeks and triple game weeks. And I think if it's a case that they start pushing everything back on the calendar, it's going to be nearly impossible to predict. But we can maybe get a scenario where if the game or the league goes under a state of freeze, that when it reopens again, you could be starting with a double game week straight out of the block. So we could nearly be using transfers kind of blind. We know fixtures like we did. I don't know if you played the game previously when it was.
Yeah. With remember we finished it and then they were giving you a free transfer every week, but you pick the games. And I remember then at the end of it all, then we got a free wildcard at the end after doing that. I was there looking at price changes every night, doing my transfers just to build up for this thing. And then at the end of it all, then we got a free wildcard at the end of it.
I know boys that were doing that. They were using their transfer every single week without fail, and they were planning. They were saying, "Oh, they have an extra 3 fixtures," and then as you say, then everybody got the wild card. And I think that stage when I got the wild card, I bench boosted in my first week, and I got this great raise in my rank, you know, and stuff like that. But I think if it's a very short pause in the league, I don't think we'll get a wild card.
No, yeah,
No,
no. I
no
think
chance.
was
No chance.
it a month last year or 3 or 4 weeks last year? That's what we got the wild card, I think.
I think I would be surprised if it was a very short pause. I would be surprised if we get a
Yeah,
wild card. But I think they want to keep people engaged too in the game. And if it's a case of people just think, oh, for God's sake, I've missed out on transfers for the last week. I think that's why they give the wild card to kind of try and get people back to playing it again. Because obviously people drop off.
yeah, yeah.
No, is there any questions in the live then
Yeah.
from?
I say we'll start popping through the questions here. The first one I seen coming in there was, it's obviously a big kind of topic this week, was about the free hit, Sean. So I'll let you give your take on it first. So just basically, people are asking whether the free hit or not. But give your opinion on it, and then I'll say what I think as well.
I definitely wouldn't free hit because, like, on a free hit, I would want to know what games are on, number one, and we've got 5 games to see pick from this week. But come tomorrow, the day after, we might not have 5 games. So, the way I always see the free hit is, I would like to play. I do like to play my free hit normally in a blank game week, but I would like to have a certain amount of security around which teams are going to start. For me. I saw last week some people had great success with a free hit and people had around 100 points, but there's a certain amount of luck on that. So for me, I wouldn't be playing my free hit this week because I just don't think there's a security. Games could be called off, and you might start off with a team of 15 players, and it could be down to about 9 or 10 by the time it goes through, and it would just be a waste in my opinion. So I would say keep the free hit. Don't use the free hit this week.
Definitely. Just on that as well, I don't want to go into the cup too much because it's just a pure luck. But I got through on the cup. My opponent, he played his free hit and he ended up missing out on 6 or 7 players at the games are called. Through the cup this week now. But that's the beauty of it. As you said as well, your man Matty H FPL, I think he free hit it in, was it 100 and something points he got. So
great score. But I see you're talking about the cup. Do you see that there's a nation specific cup? So there's an Ireland Cup this year, which I think is quite good. It doesn't start for a few weeks, but I think that's a good addition to the game.
Yeah, definitely. And there's actually a club cup as well. So I think there's a United Cup as well, an Irish Cup.
Right. Very good.
The normal cup itself. Just on the free hit there, Sean, as well. Just when that question's coming in there, your man's after Harry. He's after asking. He's only got 7 players, -8 worth it all. If 5 games are still on before the deadline. I was saying in my head, if you'd 6 or 7 players, I'm assuming he's got 3 Liverpool, so he's down to 4 players. So it's kind of the swing of the double game week where if you save it for a double game, you can kind of attack all them kind of fixtures, and you'd have at least we're hoping to have 2 games for the double game, and you can kind of attack with 11 players. But if I don't know, if I'd 7 players, I'm assuming he's got the 3 Liverpool, as I was saying, and it all depends how many City he has or how many Arsenal he has. But if the games are going ahead, Sean, if he'd 7 players, would you be inclined to?
If I was him, I would probably go no more than -4 if I'm being. I've seen people's teams and I've seen kind of fairly decimated teams, and I think it's one where, if you're talking about this team's going to miss out, but they're maybe going to have a double or triple game week maybe in the next few weeks, you're going to take out somebody that has those additional fixtures anyway. So if the player, say Antonio was a good example, although he hasn't been playing well, West Ham do very good fixtures. If you're going to take him out of your team now, you're going to use another transfer to bring him back in at some point down the line. So for me, ideally I would bench somebody like that. But if you were looking at a player in your team and you weren't really happy with him at the minute, I would see no problem in taking a hit. But if I was taking a hit to bring a player in, I would be looking to think, on average, he would kind of get me more than 4 points, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
That would be my general thinking, as opposed to a blank player. So that's why I'm thinking, if I'm going to take a hit, I would take a hit for a Man City midfielder and kind of just go for the big ticket against Newcastle. That would be my thinking.
Essentially, and then if he's transferring out to players that aren't playing, it's essentially just a -2 hit because you're going 0, and then
appearance points.
Exactly, yeah, good stuff. Well, yeah, we'll have a quick fire one, so Sean, because I know it's 5 to now, so we'll just go try to get through all the questions. First fella there, he's after asking Super Bros Gallagher to Smith Rowe on a free transfer. I think that's a good shout. Gallagher's game is off, but what do you think?
I do like that. I think Smith Rowe, he doesn't do huge numbers in terms of stats, and I know a Praz. I don't know if you see Praz on Twitter. Praz have been talking about. He's one of these players that he's overperforming his stats, but I don't really agree. I kind of think Smith Rowe, when you see him, he's a very good finisher, and when he gets a ball, he hits shots here. He done it against United. The keeper was on the ground. He hit the shot. You know what I mean? And He maybe didn't know the keeper was on the ground, but he's had a few good goals. He had a nice one from against Watford from the edge of the box, so he would be one for me. I know he's been out of the side recently, but I think Nima would be able to tell you. He's been injured, I think. He's coming back. They've got some good players like Odegaard and Saka and stuff like that, so there could be a slight bit of rotation, but I do think he is ours. Like, he's their playmaker, really. I think he's their number 10, so we'll go with him.
Yeah, no, I was actually at the Newcastle game in Smith Rowe. He didn't return that day, but he should have got at least 2 assists. Aubameyang missed from 2 yards, and he did. The chance of back and miss as well, yeah. But at least if I know you're going Watkins, but at least if I go Lacazette won't be missing from 2 yards, surely. But yeah, next one there, Sean. So I think this is kind of straightforward enough. He goes, should I do Bowen to Foden or Williams to defender?
I get Foden.
No, definitely good shout.
You know, like who are you going to bring in defence? It's going to do a similar thing to Foden. Like it's like a defender's only going to have a certain ceiling, and Foden I think's got a very high ceiling. Like as we says, he's one of these players. I think he's got the potential. I think earlier in the season he had 18 points for me in a game, and that's
yeah.
You know, that's big stuff. Like, so I think you want to be kind of hanging your hat in that. Especially Newcastle are terrible. I watched Leicester against Newcastle, and they're like fucking hell. They're worse than Derry. Do you know? There's.
They're too bad now.
Well, they're going well now. They've signed a pile of players, Michael Duffy and stuff like that.
Oh, sorry, I was on about the Gaelic team. Sorry.
Right.
Good stuff. No. How are you getting on actually in the League of Ireland? Where are you here?
I don't know. I think they just finished just outside the European places.
Okay.
But the chairman's come under a few pounds. Like he's sold his business for a couple. I think 2.2 billion. So. He's kind of ploughed on. He's bought some players from Dundalk, Derry fellas. He's brought them back to club and stuff like that. So I could break the bandwagon and start maybe going back to games again.
Yeah.
You know?
But there's no Derry top honour underneath the jumper, Sean.
No, not tonight, anyway.
Lovely. Next one here. So he's asking Bernardo to Jota for -4. I'll let you give your thoughts on that.
Bernardo to who?
To Jota.
I wouldn't sell Bernardo, but I would want Jota.
No.
Although what I will say is, Firmino's back, so he's maybe missed the best of Jota. Although African Cup of Nations should be happening, although with this COVID, it's not necessarily guaranteed. But I would find another way to get Jota, but I wouldn't sell Bernardo. I think Bernardo will play.
Yeah, I know. Pep said he's fit. I'm fairly sure that was today. It came out that he said everyone's all right apart from Torres. But even the fact that I was looking, Firmino has a lovely record against Spurs as well, and the fact that Jota played 90 minutes there midweek might hint that Jota will be benched as well. But I wouldn't. I'd bring in Jota if you could, but not for Bernardo. No, as you were saying as well.
I think Jota does good stuff with reduced minutes anyway. Like, you know, if he gets a half hour, he could do something. If he gets 60 minutes, he could do something. So I think his XG is some of the best in the league behind Salah, really, for the price. I think you want 3 Liverpool players, and it would be Trent, Salah, and Jota for me. Look at the minute.
Definitely, exactly. Going back to that last night's game, it was Thursday night last night. Yeah, sure. 3 goals, 3 players. You know, you can't get much better than that now for your team.
Exactly.
How are you, Jono? He's a good pal of mine, Jono. He's asking Rafinha in or Fornals out. Rafinha in, Fornals out. Yeah, I'm assuming that's for a free transfer.
Rafinha in for Fornals. Depends who's ordered. It depends who's other midfielders are. I would kind of prioritise different midfielders. I think ahead of Rafinha this week.
Yeah.
You know, I wouldn't. I own Rafinha, but I would look at different midfielders. I think this week.
Yeah, no, just the fact that even Leeds looked off. There was that small hint of a penalty. When, I don't know if you were watching the City game when Zinchenko handball. It was just outside the box actually, but I don't know why. I don't know if you've seen that, Sean. It was just sent off. They looked at it and then it just went away. Just hurt Rafinha kind of nudged him in the back, and Zinchenko put out his hand and hit his arm. And I thought he would have given a free kick and a red card, and then they looked at it and nothing happened. I couldn't get over it. But anyway, we won't get into that too much.
Well, I think Rafinha's great value, and I know what you're saying. Leeds haven't looked great, but he's kind of got that talisman factor where he gets the assists. He's getting a lot of goals from open play this season, and then whenever you add penalties to the mix, at 6.5 or 6.6 or whatever he has now, I think he's crazy value. But the fixtures pick up in a few weeks' time, so maybe in the short term, maybe somebody else, maybe a Man City midfielder.
Yeah, no, definitely. If you can afford, John, if you can afford Foden or even Bernardo Silva's a bit cheaper, I'd look at it. look at the City players, is right. Right, a few quick ones, so Sean. Thoughts on the Nations League group? What do you make of it?
Looked kind of hard enough for us, I thought.
Yeah, the Scotland away, was it Ukraine, Scotland, and Armenia?
Do we have Serbia?
What'd you say?
Do we have Serbia?
No,
Serbia?
that was done there during the week. I think it's Ukraine, Scotland, and Armenia was the three teams.
We should beat Armenia.
Yeah.
I'm not a big fan of the Nations League.
Yeah, no, I was a season ticket holder myself and the brother. I know, obviously, we didn't get it. We didn't get too much. Obviously, with COVID, the first opening games are absolutely shocking. We won't get into too much, but at Euro 24, if we can top that group, we're guaranteed a playoff. But we'll see how it gets on. It's 3 years down the line yet, anyway. Sean is right. So I
was quite sore on Stephen Kenny, and it's maybe harshly so because he used to be Derry City manager, but he's kind of turned the corner, I think, with Ireland, and we look as if we're playing a bit of better stuff. Like, you know, Callum Robinson, I suppose he's our version of CR7 at the minute. Yeah. You know, he's doing stuff, like he's doing a bit better.
I'm not mad at him really, but at least, you know, we've no kind of player that can actually score, and he's the only one that's scoring, himself and Duffy, really. But we could talk all day about Irish football, so we won't get into too much. Right, a few more social. Ramsey in for Mbuemo, and Target in for Livermento -4. So you Villa against Burnley, and then 2 Villa players. So he's looking at a -4 there.
I think Target has maybe got COVID.
Oh fuck, has he? Jesus, I didn't know that. No.
I saw like a one-liner on Twitter today that they're talking about Target maybe has suspected COVID. So whoever that is might want to do a bit of Googling and check it out, because I do think there's a story. Ramsey could be all right. He's a cheap price. I know Luke Razor had Ramsey, and then he took him out. He brought him in as part of a -4 to get Ronaldo, and then he took him out as part of a -4. Yeah. But the train of thought was right, because he scored a good goal now, like, you know, that match and that match against Norwich. So I think he's maybe potentially the pick of cheap midfielders.
Yeah, definitely. And what is he? 4.5, 4.4?
Yeah, I think 4.4, 4.5.
Good stuff. Yeah. So maybe have a look at that target. I actually didn't see about that. I was away all day, so I didn't see that. But next one. So should I get rid of Hwang and Madison for Gelhardt and Foden? I'm assuming that's for a hit if he's doing 2. So basically Foden, Gelhardt, little play, but I can't see Leeds really getting one against Arsenal. They're kind of defending.
I don't know if I would take a -4 that includes Gelhardt, if I'm being totally honest. I would want Foden as part of a -4, but I don't know if I would take a -4 for Gelhardt, because he's never going to repay it on that side of the hat, if you know what I mean. Foden definitely is, but I would want both players to potentially repay the hat, if I'm honest.
And then Brownhill and Ronaldo. I think this is a good one. Brownhill and Ronaldo to Foden and Lacazette for a hit for -4.
No brainer. I would do
it. Someone was asking there, how do you check it if you get a green arrow? Just look at your overall rank. Down. I don't know if he's messing or what, but if he's seeing red all the time. But just check your rank on the bottom right on the app or your laptop, and you'll see.
Fuck, I had a run. I must have had a run about 11 or 12 green arrows. It was unreal. Like,
yeah,
hasn't been as good since.
No, you're what are you, 20k you're sitting around? Where does it?
22k, so hopefully it can kick on. I know, as I say this week, my team's kind of halfway decently set, so well, fingers crossed that other people are in a bit of a mess. That's my thinking anyway.
I don't know if you can see that chat there, Sean. I'm assuming it's fake, but he's after going Salah just tested positive, but I'm assuming he's messing.
Salah had the COVID already, so he's got the immunity, herd immunity.
Yeah. I must say hello to Prunches there. He's back home. He's a PT Prunchy. We'll give him a shout out there. How are you keeping Prunches? And right, so next one. So Sean, Scott Carson to Ramsdale, Rafinha to Foden, and Antonio to Watkins for a -4.
Scott Carson to Ramsdale, Rafinha to Foden. Who's the other one?
And then Antonio to Watkins.
I don't know if I would say Rafinha, because he plays this. He has a game. Like my focus for the like that guy asked the question is, I would be looking to take out boys this week that don't have a match. You know, when Rafinha, I own Rafinha. I wouldn't say Rafinha at the minute at all. You know.
Yeah.
Try and take out somebody that doesn't have a game. That would be my advice. Like.
That's what I actually meant to say earlier on. It's obviously you use the live FPL.net. The difference between 1-2 points in your rank could easily be 3 or 4k in rank.
Could be.
I didn't take a hit to bring in Ramsdale this week. Sorry, and I was one off the safety score, so that, and I went down 2k places. So that's if I brought in Ramsdale, he got 5 points. Would I got that 1 point, I would have stayed where my rank was. But that's how kind of touch tight things are at the moment now, especially at the moment with the.
He got a yellow card, didn't he?
He did. He got a yellow, is right? Yeah, for time wasting. Yeah. Good stuff. So 2 more, Sean. I better go because it's nearly 9:10 here. I'll be getting given out to. But Lamptey or White for future weeks. It's kind of hard saying for future weeks because you can't really plan. But what would you say? Arsenal probably have the favourable fixtures compared to Brighton, really. But I'll let you give your thoughts on that.
Brighton don't have a game this week, do they?
Yeah. No, they don't. No, it was meant to be United, but it was called off.
On that basis, I wouldn't even consider Lamptey so White.
Yeah.
But I don't really like White either. I think Ramsdale's kind of enough Arsenal defence, if you know what I mean.
If you wanted an Arsenal defender, I'd go Tomiyasu. Just what is he? He got 2 or 3 assists the last kind of 4 or 5 game weeks. Same crack with Ben White. I had him last year when he was at Brighton. He was brilliant for the clean sheets. He might have got 1 or 2 bonus points, but never an attacking return. So if you're looking for the returns, probably Tomiyasu there. And
you couldn't really look at Tierney because although I do like Tierney, he can go on and out, and they've got a sub left back now, Tavares, that kind of comes on the odd time. So
yeah.
No, I would probably steer clear of maybe both if he could. Ramsdale would be enough.
Good stuff. Right, last one. So we'll leave it there then. Foden and Bernardo Silva, or Foden and Mount.
Foden and who?
Foden and Bernardo Silva. So the double up on City, or Foden and Mount.
Bernardo Silva and Foden.
Yeah, I think that Newcastle game. Just how they actually did all right. Well, they started off all right, Newcastle, but the fact that City, the way they were playing midweek now, I think it's going to be a hockey score with that Newcastle game.
After the game's on, I would fancy them. They really hammer Newcastle bad,
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Come here, Sean. So we'll leave it there. If you want to just give a shout out to your pages again, I know definitely give him a follow, lads. He's promised me he's going to be posting regularly now on Instagram, and he's going to get the page going.
That's it. Drop me a follow on Instagram. You can drop me a follow on Twitter under the same handle. Be great.
Lovely. Come here, Sean. Thanks a million for joining me. I'm sure I'll be chatting to you over the week anyway. And,
no bother now.
Thanks a million and enjoy the rest of your evening. Hey.
Same to yourself. Good luck, man.
Chat to you. Cheers. Bye-bye.
Okay. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.